Well, hello, everybody. I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined here today with Tyler from TK Floral Designs, all the way over in New York.
Yeah.
Tyler, it is so good to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so thrilled and I feel so honored. You have
Oh,
no
yes,
idea.
we're honored to have you. We're honored to have you. I have been following you for so long, and our paths finally crossed in Baltimore last November, where we met through Sarah and the Intrigue Conference. Wasn't that some event?
It was absolutely stunning and beautiful. And I wish we got more time to spend with each other,
I
but
know. It'll
I'm
happen. It'll happen.
yeah, I'm just gonna have to come over there, I guess.
Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly it. Over to Ireland you get. Come and meet the real Irish. Listen,
Yes.
and I tell you, tell me about your flowery journey. How did you get into flowers? Because that's not where you started out, is it?
No, not at all, actually. So, um, it's so crazy how life happens and how things just come into play that you never anticipated were going to. So my original dream, what I thought I was going to be doing with my life, I thought I was going to be on Broadway and I was going to be singing and acting. And that's really what I was passionate about for years. I mean, I grew up taking voice lessons since I was 8. And, I was really confident that that was where life was going to lead me. So I started working at a place called Ellen Stardust Diner as a singing waiter
Oh, I
down in
know it.
yeah. I worked there for 7 months, and
Wow.
I realized that the city life and that whole scene was not really what I envisioned it would be. And I was like, I need something consistent. I need something that I can really do and actually not struggle and feel like I'm not going to be eating next week. So it just wasn't the vibe. It wasn't for me. So I went through a period where I started working as a restaurant manager, and that restaurant was connected to a wedding venue, actually. And people would leave their floral arrangements behind like all the time after their weddings. And I was so fascinated by them. And I was like, how do people do this? So I would take all the arrangements and I would take them apart and put them back together. And that's how I started to learn. So it was really crazy. I never anticipated falling in love with flowers like that, but that's exactly how it happened. Like it seems so simple. But yeah, I just fell deeply in love with it. So I started handing out business cards to people that were coming into the restaurant to do the rehearsal dinner flowers. And at the time, I had no vehicle, right? Like I had no car. I was living in a 500 square foot apartment. It was awful. And I was living with my ex and his whole family. So it was really something. So because I had no car, I took business cards and I would just walk up and down the road and I would go hotel to hotel, restaurant to restaurant, and I brought my iPad and I had pictures of just arrangements that I put together. I was like, I would love to do arrangements for your lobby or for your tables or whatever. And I got so many no's. Like, I can't tell you how many times people were like, who is this kid walking in here with his iPad? And I got so many no's. And finally, I got my one yes. And it wasn't a great yes, but it was a yes. So it was a barter deal. It was a high-end restaurant. Plates are like $40-50 a plate kind of vibe. So it was like on the higher end for where we are in our area. And they said, well, we'll do a barter deal with you. And if you bring us flowers each week, we'll let you eat here, like for free, essentially for free. And that's how I started branching out. And all of a sudden, my business just blew up. So the first year, and that was 8 years ago. So this is my second business. TK Floral Designs is my second business. So I had another business 8 years ago, and yeah, it just blew up, and I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea how to price things out, or what. I was self-taught.
That's what I was going to ask. Did you have any formal training or anything like that? It was just pure potluck.
Just pure luck.
Amazing. I
Just
love it.
pure luck. And that, we can get into that a little bit later, but if there's anything that anybody can take away from what I've been through and I've experienced, like, anyone can really do what we do, I guess. You know, there is a talent side to it, I do believe. Like, you do have to have an eye for it and a knack for it, but anyone can do this, really, if they put everything into it and they devote themselves to it and they practice and they refine their craft, you know? So it was just crazy. I'd never had formal training, but I wish I did at that point, because I didn't know how to price things out. I didn't know, you know, the cost per stem on things. And I didn't know all the flower varieties, and I still don't know all the flower varieties, but it was so difficult for me to like know how to be profitable in the beginning. Like I had nothing. So, that was definitely a challenge. So if I could go back in time, I probably would have spent more time devoting to like getting a little bit of education so that I knew what I was doing and I could make money.
And that's actually one of my questions. So like, what advice would you give to your younger self 8 years ago, or to a florist starting out in the business? What would be your one piece of advice?
Yeah, my one piece of advice would definitely be to get some education, and to from K's, even from the beautiful ladies at K's, yeah, or me. But yeah, I would definitely start with getting some type of education, whether it be like a certification or even if it's a longer term program, just because there's so much involved in our industry.
And you know, I think that is the thing. I think, as you say, anybody that has talent or flair for color or design can create anything spectacular. But whether you can make money out of it is the other part of it. And that's really, it's the business of flowers people need to learn, more so than even just the flowers, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And it's something that I talk about often. And even at like Sarah's workshops, when I do introductions for her and stuff, which we'll also get into later. But I say the one thing is, like, we can make the prettiest, most beautiful, lavish things, but if we don't know how to make money with it, like it almost doesn't matter. You know, like it's just a very expensive hobby. It's a very expensive hobby. So yeah, that's kind of how I got my start. I know it was kind of a long-winded response, but that's kind of how it happened. And the first year that we were in business, we had booked like 96 weddings, and which was wild, but I wasn't making money. And that was the problem. You know, we could be busy and working our little tail ends off, but we weren't making money because we had no idea what we were doing. So we learned from our lessons, we learned from our mistakes. And fast forward a couple years, COVID happened. I broke up with my ex. And thank God that I got out of the business when I did during COVID, because nothing was happening. So I left. I gave him my portion of the business. I was like, here you go. I'm out. Gotta leave. And then Randy came into my life, like literally immediately. A few months later, we got married. So this is a secret. I'm sharing some secrets here. So we got married secretly in January of 2020.
No way. Oh my God.
In our living room. And we had 2 witnesses. So we've been married for 4 years.
Wow.
But yeah, so that was wild. So we got secretly married. And in 2021, July of 2021, we were both at a place in our life. Like, I could not go another day, Deirdre, without like doing flowers. You know, I felt like an emptiness in my heart. And I remember crying to Randy, and I was like, babe, I just need to go into business again. Like, I can't like think of doing anything else with my life at this point. Flowers are my heartbeat, you know?
And was Randy a florist?
No.
No. Wow.
No. So Randy was a regional manager at a Hilton hotels. So at the Hampton Inn, he ran 3 hotels, 3 different ones. We actually had to move into one of them during the pandemic because they had no staff. It was so crazy. Like, I wish we didn't have half an hour, because I could go on all day. So yeah, he never touched flowers. So I remember we both hit like a wall. And he actually got Lyme's disease in July of 2021. And he couldn't go to work. He was put on disability. And it was really, really crazy. Like the Lyme's disease hit him extremely bad. He's fine now, obviously, though, and it's all under control. But during the time, you know, we didn't know what was going to happen. He was out of work. He didn't have a job. But at that time, one of my friends had asked me to do like her wedding flowers. So I was like, yeah, I'm here for it. And I told him, I said, I want you to come to this wedding with me, and I want you to be a part of it. And if you don't fall in love with what we do today, you can absolutely tell me that this business is a crock and we don't need to move forward with it. But if you do fall in love with it, I really, really would love if you could consider us going into business. And I'll never forget it. I might get emotional, so I'm sorry. I'll never forget it. You know, we got in the car after the wedding, and he looks over at me and he just said, "I'm ready to do it." And wow. I was just like, yes, because I spent so much time from, you know, the last business to getting to this point, just in an emotional state where I was miserable and I knew that I wasn't doing what my heart wanted me to do. And to just have that, like, yes, I'm going to jump into it with you, was amazing.
So it's not a recipe for disaster working with your husband?
No.
Wow.
No. You know, it's not picture perfect. Let's be clear. It is not like wake up and smell the roses every morning. But we complement each other.
Different things to the business.
Yes, yeah. We complement each other so well.
It's probably a bit like myself and Jeanette. We both have very different roles within the business, and I think that's why we do get on so well. Is that I know her job and she knows my job, and we don't sort of try to
get in each other's way.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Step in each other's lanes. You know exactly what you both are supposed. Yeah. And that's how we are. You know, obviously, we have to be so in sync with. And he's a great designer, by the way. He has come such a long way from the beginning. Like, he had a fast track course in designing. You know, we didn't have time for him to not know what to do. Yeah. You know, you're gonna green those compotes, you're gonna green that archway. Like, we're moving. And now he goes and does weddings by himself without me even there. You know, so wow. He's excellent. But yeah, he's the organizer. Like, he keeps things super organized and functioning. He's the money man. Like, that is his main lane. And I am more of like I'm going to deal with the brides, the couples, and I'm going to design. And that's kind of my lane. I do the flower orders and stuff. So, and now we have a shop.
It's great that it's both of you doing that sort of thing together, that you're not depending on an outsider, as you say, to look after your accounts or to look after that part of it, that it is both of you together, working together, doing it.
1,000,000%. And, you know, to that point, one of the biggest things that I hear from designers all the time is they wish they had like a second like we do. You know, not everyone has that luxury. A lot of people are just doing it by themselves. And then they have to.
If we could replicate ourselves, if we could duplicate ourselves in business, wouldn't it be great? And you have done that. You married him and pulled him in, hook, line, and sinker.
And it's
for success.
And it's so funny because everyone thinks that this is hilarious, but everyone thinks we're brothers. So
oh wow.
Every time they meet us, they're like, "You're brothers, right?" We're like, "No, we are we are married." Oh God. So it's just wild.
Funny.
It is.
So who's the better florist, Tyler? Is he going to be watching this?
He will definitely be watching this, and I'm going to say it's me. But he. Oh God, you can't put me on the spot like that. He is really, like I said, he is so talented, and he has come such a long way. But like, he learned from the best, you know? So
Well, there you go.
he learned from the best.
Moving
So
swiftly on.
right,
Tell me,
right.
I have followed you before I met you. I had followed you. I followed you on Instagram. I've watched your stories. I've watched the work you've done. What is your secret of getting, or your top tip of getting those luxury weddings? You get fantastic weddings, like budgets that are just, you don't see a lot of them here in Ireland, but
Sure.
you really get the luxury of working with the most amazing couples from what I can see.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, we really are sincerely blessed to have the opportunities that we have and the clients that we do have. And I will say that it's not an easy process by any means. There's a lot that goes into it. But one of my biggest tips, and I hope it's a takeaway for somebody, is that there's such a level of refinement and communication in which I feel helps us to really solidify those clients. So one of the things that we invested in early on was a wonderful proposal system. We use detail software for our proposal system, and just seeing the level of cleanliness that is presented to the client, I think is super, super helpful. And I think that was like a game changer in our business. But
We have
another,
seen detail in action. She was
yeah,
actually, Corinne was over here in, no, it was in the UK, wasn't it, Jeanette? It was in the UK we met her, and she gave us a sample, run through. Oh my God, it is just phenomenal.
Really is. It really is. And the way it's just laid out and presented, I mean, it's beautiful. And I feel like when clients see that level of professionalism displayed, it really helps take you seriously, right? Like, so that was one of the game changers. But another thing that I really think that set us apart, I mean, we stopped and this is very unconventional, and I've gotten a lot of backlash about it, but it works. So we stopped asking for budgets. We set a minimum to what we do and produce, obviously. So just to work with us, we have an $8,000 minimum that we have openly displayed. Oh God, my headphones attacked me. That we openly display. And that just starts the framework there.
Yes.
But after that, we don't really talk about money. I just give them a beautiful design presentation. I'm like, this is what I would love to bring to life for your wedding day. These are like the ideas that I have. This is kind of where I'm thinking of going. And I just make them fall in love with the idea. It may not even be in their budget. It may be completely outside their budget, but at least we have like a framework of where we can go, and then we can scale back from there,
Great. That's
and
great advice.
I think that has really, really changed the game for us. I mean, once you ask for a budget, this is where I think it falls into play. I can ask you what your budget is, and you can tell me $3,500, right? Now I'm working in that box, in that framework, and my mind is already set. Like, okay, how am I going to do 15 tables, 8 bridesmaids, 9 groomsmen for $3,500? There's just no way. And now my heart is miserable. I don't even want to put the proposal together because I know I can't make it happen. So it just impacts your frame of mind already going into the process, where if I never had that conversation, I just tell them, this is what my minimum is. I already know that those clients know what that is coming in to see me. Yeah. And then from there, I mean, that's it, So I think that's like the thing that really changed everything for us.
And it is, and I suppose it is about changing your mindset. And it's actually one of the things that we took away from Intrigue when we were over in Intrigue in November was, and I can't remember who said it, but they said, don't assume your customers can't afford to pay. And I just thought, you know what, that is so, so right. That just because we can't afford it doesn't mean our customers can't afford it.
Yeah. And, like, it's so funny. I came from very humble beginnings, like I didn't have a lot growing up. We grew up in a trailer half my life. And, I didn't have, like, we were a normal middle class family. Yeah. I could never imagine dropping $20,000 on wedding flowers. I could have never imagined that. And
hang on, just rewind that back again.
Yeah, but it isn't that like I could never imagine it. Like, I'm like, how I could never imagine it. So when I first got into business, like I felt guilty. I'm like, oh my God, like I can't charge these people 20 grand for their flowers, but there's so much more to it. And like just that eye-opening experience of like, this is a luxury, like what we do and what we provide is a luxury. And there's so many moving parts involved with it between labor and setup and breakdown and rentals and all that stuff. I mean, there's so much encompassed in it. And now I'm like, holy crap, I'll pay 25 grand, 30 grand for wedding flowers. And now look at our wedding. We spent
exactly. Look at your wedding. And I'm going to post a photograph here of you and Randy's wedding. Oh my God, those flowers were phenomenal. Oh my God. Like,
thank you.
Did you know you were getting that?
So funny thing is that I didn't know until like a week before. Or 2 weeks before, I'm sorry. Randy designed the whole thing. Randy came up with the whole design plan. He knew exactly where he wanted things placed. So he is a really good design. He really is a good designer. Yes. So he came up with the whole design plan. He had the schematics laid out. Like he was ready. But then it came to placing the flower order, and he was like, I need you to help me with this. So we sat down together. So I knew the colors and I knew, the flower selections. I just didn't know how it was all going to come together. But the night before, or 2 nights before our wedding, we were actually putting up we did a hanging installation over our dance floor. It was a beautiful, like, install, just like dripping flowers and smilax over the dance floor. It was gorgeous. So we had to set up 2 nights before. We had to do all of that because we didn't have anybody in yet. And so Randy and I are setting that up together. So I did know about that. But yeah, I mean, it just blew me away. If you could walk into the room and just like experience it there was nothing like it. I was so emotional that day. I was like,
I can imagine, because
I
was just following on your stories, and I'm like, oh my God, I was following Sarah, and it was nearly like hashtag Tyler and Randy, because it was incredible. And I will, well, obviously we will have your link to your Instagram, and people can go back and have a look at those photographs because they are all still there. Absolutely amazing. Talking of like large structures and those type of things, you have been to quite a few Intrigue conferences. You were at Intrigue across America. What is your biggest learning from those type of events? Why do you still go to those type of events? Like, do you think you know it all now, or like, is there more to learn, or what do you think?
So one of my biggest things to say to that is like, if you get to a place where you feel like you can't learn anymore,
give it up.
Give it up. If you go into it with the mindset like, I know it all, there's just no way. You don't really have a future in the business if that's where you're at in your life. But so the reason that I go back to Intrigue time and time again is because, one, it always is something else to learn, but two, the connections that you are able to make with these designers from across the world, it's just remarkable, and it's so beautiful. And I can learn something from 10 different people there, and there's something to learn from every single person. And just knowing that you have a huge community around you that is going through the same exact things that you are and dealing with what you're dealing with day in and day out, there is nothing like it. And the Intrigue community has just excessively blown up to a point where, like, I know if I need someone to help me with an event that's like over the top or grand, and I don't have a lot of support, I can call somebody in Massachusetts or in Florida or in California, and they'll fly to me and come help. Like, that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy to me.
But that is like nearly the drug of Intrigue, isn't it? It's such an amazing community of florists, and we really experienced that, and we're really open to that when we were over there. We were just amazed at how inviting and everybody was to us. It was just, a fabulous community. Like Sarah has really created something that is very unique in this industry. And I don't know what it's like in the States, but in Ireland, it can be still very closed and nobody tells anybody anything, and they won't say where they got this and where they got that. But Sarah is like, she's just put an explosion in it and said, no, open it up, like open it up to people.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, locally, like if I was to, like you said, a lot of people can be closed off, right? So locally, if I was to try to go down the street and find help, they might help me, but they probably won't. But like that's kind of where it's at locally for us. We don't live in an area where community over competition is really praised. Even that, but that's how we are. We are all about community. If you need Harlow stands, if you need vessels, if you need like support, call us. You know, that's how we always have been. But not everyone's like that. And having the intrigue community has just been life-changing for us. I mean, we've made some of the greatest friends. We met you there, you know. We go freelance for people all over the country now that we met through Intrigue. And just to be able to support one another in our craft and what we do. And honestly, it makes our market stronger. Like having people that are all like-minded and know, you know, how I should be pricing things and how I should be doing this and what the proper mechanics are and X, Y, and Z, you know, it just makes the market so much stronger. Like we are a strong community. We're stronger together than we are divided. So,
and that's so true, you know, like really is, if anybody can take anything from this, I think is taking that as a community together, we can work so hard. We actually have something coming up in, I think it's June of this month. It's going to be a first. It is an English incentive, but we're hoping it'll dribble into Ireland, and it's going to be International Florist Day. So, yeah, we're going to be doing a little bit of PR on that and promotion on it. It's a lady over in the UK, Caroline Marshall Foster, who has sort of come together with a lot of florists to promote this, promote the industry, really promote the industry.
Wow.
And like you say about your weddings, like we're very much that when somebody's coming to book their wedding, is you're not just coming to buy flowers, you're coming to buy an experienced florist, a designer, you know. And do you find in America that when somebody books flowers, they're looking to cut, like, can you do a better price? Is that also the norm over there?
Oh, 100%.
Really?
100%. Okay. Oh, yeah. I mean, like, not everyone takes my extra extravagant proposal, right? Like, not everyone's gonna, I'll send a proposal for 25, 30 grand. And then by the end of it, it's cut down to 12 or 13. But imagine if I started at 12 or 13.
Exactly.
Then it probably would have been cut down to like 4 or 5. So if I start at the higher end and really give them all the bells and whistles and extravagance, but yes, to answer your question, yeah, that does happen. I mean, people are price shopping, but those clients aren't for me, you know, like that's not my client.
That's exactly it. I'm actually in the middle of writing a blog at the moment on that, about how do you budget for your wedding, and talking about that sort of thing. Is that cheap person is not necessarily for you then. Don't be working with that type of clientele if you want big luxury weddings.
Exactly. And, you know, Sarah will talk about this in a lot of her workshops and stuff, but there's like a few things that are like triggers, right? Or things that are like, this is a budget client that if they say they don't like flowers, if they say, I'm not really interested in flowers, like flowers aren't like a huge area of importance to me, it's probably going to be somebody that's not going to spend their money on flowers. You know, it's not going to be your client. If they ask you for a price right away, say, hey, can you quote this out for me? I have 15 tables, 5 bridesmaids, whatever. Can you just give me a quote? That is like a huge red flag that they're just price shopping, you know? Right. So she talks about these things often, and what the red flags are and what like kind of screams like this is a budget client. And
you know, that's so good to hear, because that really gives you as a florist the confidence to sort of say, actually, I'm not going to go down that road. I'm not going to spend 2 hours pricing up something for somebody who's price shopping, sending the same email to 20 other florists.
Yeah, absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's crazy. You know, once I get the sign that they're price shopping, I kind of just redirect, and I'm like, I feel like we're just not the right fit, you know, and that's okay. Not everyone's going to be.
Absolutely. Tell me about your training. You do lots of different types of training courses, and I'm really interested to hear, because I know you have one coming up, but if somebody is watching this later on in the month, the link to your website is going to be in the description. So please go ahead, follow Tyler, and have a look at anything that is coming up. But you have a bouquet workshop.
Yes,
May
20th. This is going to be my first bouquet workshop, so I'm super, super excited about it. We are going to do 4 different styles of bouquets. So I'm going to show how to make a cascading bouquet with a chicken wire armature, which is going to be super fun. I'm also going to be teaching just a traditional spiral bouquet, which I'm so shocked that there's so many people who don't know how to do that. But
isn't it amazing?
It's so crazy. It's so crazy. And then I'm going to teach how to make a bouquet in an Oasis bouquet holder. And then I'm going to just teach one of my signature styles, because everyone says that TK Floral has a signature style bouquet. So I'm going to teach my signature TK Floral bouquet.
So who are they aimed towards, Tyler? Are they aimed towards beginners? Are they aimed towards people that are already working in the industry? Who are they aimed towards?
It could be for either. Either one. It could be somebody who's just getting their feet wet in the industry, or it could be somebody that is just in a point in their business or their design world where they're struggling with certain things. But that's a bouquet workshop. You know, there's also going to be a photographer there to take pictures and everything for branding and stuff. But we also
else on the line? What else is coming up?
We have our one-on-one. So we do one-on-one sessions where we will meet with just one designer for 2 days. And we make it all in our studio. It's so cool. We do an over-the-top ceremony, like a luxury ceremony scape. We do an over-the-top luxury tablescape. We make 2 bouquets, and then we do a surprise additional install, which could be a hanging install. It could be a flower wall. So we do all that in the course of 2 days, and we go over how to price everything out. I give you recipes. It's a really intense 2 days. So for the one-on-ones, you know, it could be a beginner, but I probably would recommend, if you're coming to the one-on-one, at least having like 1 year or 2 years, have some type of, because it is an intense 2 days. We move very quickly to build all these beautiful and lavish things. And again, that is also photographed, and you get your like branding shoot and stuff like that. The game changer for the one-on-ones is that I gear out all the color palette to your brand. So, you know, I work really closely with them before we even get to that point. And I say, give me your color scheme. Tell me what you want displayed in terms of, if you have certain variety of flowers that you want, I'll include them. But if you just trust me, I just work on your color palette and I'll design something that's based off of your brand. So I work really closely with designers before they even come to our workshop to figure all that out, because I want it to be a stepping stone for them, you know?
That's just amazing. That is such a fabulous service, even just for the branding, photographs and everything else. That's an amazing. I really want to go over myself and do that. That's absolutely amazing.
I can get a ton of pink for you. I can get a ton of pink.
You know how much we love our pinks. You know how much we love our pinks. What about online? Have you anything online at all? So we say for our Irish people that are here that want to learn more of your style.
So I'm telling you, I get asked this all the time. I am working on this diligently. And I actually asked you about this at Sarah's conference. I was like, you got to tell me what the secret is, because you guys do you have such a great online presence, and all of your online workshops are amazing. So I am working on that behind the scenes. I will be posting about some stuff that I've been working on shortly. So stay tuned on that, but I don't have anything online yet.
Yes, we're getting there. And
but
we're
getting
here.
there.
Any help you want, just give a shout out. We're here for that.
Thank you. You ladies are the best.
We
Yes.
cannot train all the florists all over the world no more than you can. So look at, and you're
Exactly.
on a completely different level. We're the beginners. We're the ones starting out in the industry that have only just moving from hobby into commercial, you know, and that's sort of our level of florists that we train. You know, they do train up to doing large structures and stuff like that as well. But
Right.
it's like we start them out in the business and then we send them on to you.
Right. But let me tell you, what you do for this industry is really, really beautiful. And I am so grateful to you ladies, because I wish that, one, I had known about you before when I had first started, but just knowing that you share so much information, it's valuable and it's so helpful and insightful. I mean, I learned so much from you in just like your short snippets, you know, and you ladies are incredible, and what you're doing for this industry is really life-changing, and I hope you know what an impact you both
Oh,
make.
thank you.
Really.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank
Yeah.
you. Look, you know, I suppose for years, like when Kay's Flower School started, it was our mum that started Kay's Flower School, and she went against the grain by opening Kay's Flower School back 38 years ago, because you couldn't train outside of the family. You grew up in the industry, you know, nobody outside the industry could be trained. So she went against the grain, and like really like an entrepreneur in her day, 38 years ago, that she done something against, like she did a lot of struggles and a lot of people sort of knocked her for doing it. And I think all through the years, her motto to us was give as much support, look after your customers, look after your students. And you know, it has come back so much to us. Like students that have trained, when we say students, florists that have trained with us 30 years ago, they would still pick up the phone and call us and say, Jesus, I saw you demonstrating something. Where did you buy that? Or where did you get that? I'm like, look, we're happy to tell anybody, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, I just think when you offer a service and you offer support, it comes back to you.
Yeah, it does tenfold. Tenfold.
And we meet amazing people like you. You know, like when we met you, like when we arrived into the hotel in Baltimore, I was, Jeanette, there's Tyler over here. Who's going to go over and say hello? I didn't know Randy as well, because he doesn't be on camera as much, I don't think.
Sure.
But I knew you, and I was like, oh yeah, there he is. You know, will we go over and say hello? You know, talk about imposter syndrome. But yeah,
I feel that way about you. It's like, oh my God, like I can't even look. Like, are they? Oh, you know, it's so funny. It's so funny. I actually had somebody, and I know we're running out of time. Like we're past time. But I had somebody that. Actually a close friend of mine, you met her at the conference, probably, Jennifer Bernal, who has House of Bernal. She is amazing. And it was so funny when I first met her a couple of years ago, and we were in line at the wholesaler, and she goes, "Are you Tyler?" And I was like, yes. I follow you, like I want to be your friend, but I didn't want to be weird and like say that, like I stalk you online, but I do. And here we are. And I was like, we can be friends. Like
that's it.
Like we can be, and now we're beautiful friends, and we've had like such a great relationship over the course of the past couple of years, like freelancing for each other, helping each other. She's like in the same market as I am. She's only like half an hour away from me. And I'm so grateful for people like her, because like that's what makes our community stronger, right? Like that is what makes our market stronger, is having people like-minded, like I said before, you know, and it's so helpful. So she's amazing. And it's just funny that
I'm actually, do you know what? And we did chat with Jennifer as well, and she is somebody, she's on my list.
I like it.
Contact together. She is on my list for to do it, have a little chat with as well.
I love it.
Over the next couple of months. Tyler, you know what? You're a laugh a minute. I've so enjoyed this, and as you said, we could talk for another hour, but I'm sure people probably get sick of us laughing and joking away. But I really appreciate you spending the time, because I know it's a really busy week for you guys, and I really do appreciate you spending the time to come and talk to us and to talk to our followers. And as I said, all your details will be down in the description, and people go follow this guy, because you are gonna love his socials.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me. You're amazing.
You're most welcome. Take care.